Welcome back to the channel JF Coin. If you love discovering hidden gems in your pocket change, you are going to want to watch this entire video because today we are diving deep into a coin that seems ordinary, but can be shockingly valuable. The 1983 Lincoln Ultra Cent from the USA. What was once worth just 1 cent suddenly became something worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. In fact, some varieties have been recorded selling for over $442 and far beyond that. Stick with me, because this is one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting. Part 1. What is the 1983 Lincoln penny and why it matters? 045 to 230. Let's start with the basics. The 1983 penny is part of the Lincoln Cent series, which first began in 1909 and has featured the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front for well over a century. For most of that time, pennies were made mostly of copper, a metal that had sentimental and traditional value. But in 1982 and 1983, things changed dramatically because of rising copper prices. The U.S. Mint began transitioning the penny from a mostly copper coin to a copper-plated zinc coin in order to reduce production costs. This switch, while practical, created one of the most interesting years for collectors ever because two different metals were being used in the same year, and sometimes mistakes happened in the process. Coin value checker. Ordinary 1983 cents were made of a thin copper coat over a zinc core. These coins are extremely common. Millions were produced, so in average condition they're only worth face value. Coin trackers. But not all 1983 pennies are ordinary. Part 2. Why some 1983 pennies are valuable. 2:30 to 5 o'clock. Because the U.S. Mint was changing materials so rapidly, a few rare mistakes and varieties slipped through. First, planchet errors. Some pennies were accidentally struck on leftover older copper planchets meant for pre-1982 cents. These coins are heavier and composed differently than usual, making them incredibly rare. They can weigh around 3.1 grams instead of 2.5 grams. Expert collectors actively check old change for these by using a precise coin scale. Penny per second. There are double die errors, where parts of the design appear double due to a mistake during the die creation process. This can show up on the front, obverse, or the back, reverse of the coin. These double details attract collectors because they're visually striking and much rarer than normal coins. Coin note. Finally, there are other die errors and strike mistakes, such as die cracks, die clashes, and plating defects, which each add uniqueness and collectible value. Penny vs. Part 3. The most desirable 1983 pennies. 5 to 8 o'clock. So which 1983 pennies are most valuable? Let's go through the big ones. One of the most famous rare versions is the 1983 penny struck on a copper planchet, a leftover from the old production method. Because this was never meant to happen after 1982, very few of these coins exist. A high-grade example once sold for over $26,000 at auction, because most collectors know just how rare these truly are. NASDAQ. Another highly prized variety is the 1983 double die reverse penny, where the letters on the back, like 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum, show clear doubling. These have been known to sell for thousands of dollars in top grades, with some specimens reaching over $7,000 in pristine condition. Coin note. There's also the double die of verse error, usually identifiable around Lincoln's portrait and the motto "I in God we trust." These sell for significant premiums, sometimes in the hundreds to low thousands, depending on condition and strength of the doubling. Coin value checker. And don't overlook other mistakes like die cracks, cuds, and plated defects. Some of these can sell for anywhere from a few dollars to a few $100s or more, especially if they have eye-catching features. Penny vs. Part 4. Why these pennies are so collectible. 8 to 10 o'clock. What makes the 1983 Lincoln penny so collectible isn't just value, it's story. This coin represents a turning point in U.S. coin production. Imagine walking into a grocery store with a coin that suddenly becomes a piece of history. Coin collectors love stories like that. And the truth is, many people today are still finding these coins in circulation, in coin jars, old wallets, and even rolled pennies from banks. Coin value checker. Even experts remind us that sometimes the exciting part isn't just the money, it's the thrill of discovery. That moment when you weigh a penny and it's heavier than expected, or when you turn it over and see dramatic doubling, that's part of what keeps collectors searching. Coin trackers. Part 5. Even common 1983 pennies can be interesting. 10 to 11:30. Now, I want to be clear, most 1983 cents are still worth just their face value or maybe a few dollars in high grade. A normal 1983 Lincoln penny without any error or special variety is generally worth about 1 cent in everyday condition and up to around $5 to $6 in perfect mint state. Coin trackers, but the fact that 1 year, 1 penny, can range from 1 cent all the way to tens of thousands of dollars. That's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. Part 6. How to check your own coins, 1130 to 1300 hours. If you've got a jar of old pennies at home, here's what you should do. First, check the date. Only coins with 1983 are relevant here. Second, weigh them. A normal zinc 1983 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. If you find one that's 3.1 grams, you might have hit the rare copper planchet jackpot. Pennyverse. Third, use a magnifying glass or coin loop to look for doubling in the letters on both sides of the coin. If you see doubled letters like 1 cent or doubled words in God we trust, that's a good sign you might have something extra valuable. Coin no. Fourth, way I appeal, surface details, scratches, and shine. Coins in higher grades command much higher prices among collectors. Finally, if you believe you do have something rare, consider getting it professionally graded by NGC or PCGS. That's often when real value gets confirmed and realized. NGC coin UTRO, 13 to 1400 hours. So next time you empty your pockets and see a 1983 penny, don't toss it aside. You might be holding a piece of history that's worth a whole lot more than 1 cent. Whether it's an error, a rare copper planchet, or just a coin with an interesting story, every penny has the potential to surprise you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1983 Lincoln penny, hit the like button, subscribe for more coin mysteries, and let me know in the comments, have you ever found a rare penny or coin error in your pocket change? I want to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and keep hunting those treasures. If you want, I can also add timestamps, voiceover notes, and visual suggestions for this video script. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and talked about coins in the world of U.S. numismatics, the 1987 Lincoln penny. That's right, this humble 1-cent coin from the USA is sometimes worth way more than its face value, and in extreme cases can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more. Keep watching because we're about to break down everything you need to know, from history and design, to rarity, to real values collectors are paying right now. Scroll, Section 1. History of the 1987 Lincoln penny. Let's start with the backstory. The Lincoln cent, also known as the Lincoln penny, has been produced by the United States Mint since 1909. Originally to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. The iconic design of Lincoln on the front, the obverse, was created by Victor D. Brenner, and it has stood the test of time for over a century. Now, the 1987 penny specifically is part of the Lincoln Memorial series, the design used from 1959 to 2008. On the reverse tail side, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, a classic symbol of American history and pride. U.S. Coins Guide. In 1987, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these pennies, making them incredibly common in everyday circulation. In fact, over 4.6 billion pennies without a mint mark were struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone. U.S. Coins Guide. That means finding one in your pocket or jar is totally normal. But that's just the beginning. Face with monocle, Section 2. What makes a 1987 penny special? Here's where it gets interesting. Most people think a penny is just a penny, worth 1 cent. And for most 1987 pennies, that's true. In typical circulated condition, these coins are usually worth face value, just 1 cent. Coin trackers. But in the world of coin collecting, a coin's condition, rarity, and specific errors can dramatically increase its value. There are 3 main types you might find. Heavy checkmark 1987 no mint mark, struck at Philadelphia. Ned Ludd coins. Heavy checkmark 1987 D penny, from the Denver Mint. Ned Ludd coins. Heavy checkmark 1987 S proof penny, produced at the San Francisco Mint only as special proof coins, fewer made. Usercoinbook.com. Each of these can be worth more than face value, if it's in excellent condition or has a rare error. Money bag, Section 3. Real market values and rare finds. Now let's talk money. First, the basics. Backhand index pointing right. Average circulated 1987 pennies are worth just face value, 1 cent. Coin trackers. Backhand index pointing right. Uncirculated examples, nowhere. Can often bring 10 cents to 30 cents or more. U.S. Coins Guide. Backhand index pointing right. Coins graded at higher certified levels, like MS-65, MS-67, MS-68, can fetch more, sometimes several $100s. Antiques know how where's the real jaw-dropper. In rare cases, some 1987 pennies have sold for huge prices. White medium star, a 1987 Lincoln penny graded MS-69 RD once sold at auction for about $870 plus. Antiques know how white medium star, a rare 1987 D Denver penny graded MS-69 RD reportedly sold for a mind-blowing $12,000. Antiques know how white medium star, and believe it or not, there are claims of ultra-rare era varieties of the 1987 D penny that have sold for around $1 million or more in private sales. Check the dramatic Liberty era coins that have been documented with massive premiums. Pennyverse, these extreme values are not typical, but they do happen, and that's exactly what keeps collectors searching through rolls and jars year after year. Magnifying glass tilted left, section 4. Why some pennies are worth so much, you might be asking. Why? Why is a coin that was made in the billions suddenly worth hundreds or thousands? Here's the secret. Pushpin condition matters more than age. A perfect coin in mint state, with original luster, can be rare, even if the coin was common. Rarest.org Pushpin errors and variety coins. Mis-strikes, off-center strikes, doubled dies, planchet errors, or missing mint marks can make a coin collectible. Errorcoins.org Pushpin-proof coins from the San Francisco Mint often have special finishes and are more desirable to collectors. Userkinbook.com Pushpin certified grading by professional services, like PCGS or NGC, adds trust and value for buyers and sellers. Collectors will pay big money when they know the coin is rare, and the market loves pure, high-grade coins that look flawless. Chart increasing, Section 5, Current Market and Collector Interest, in 2025. The entire U.S. penny series made headlines because the U.S. Mint officially ended production of pennies after more than 230 years. This has ignited massive interest in older pennies like the 1987. AP News even recently, the last pennies ever made, especially those with special markings, have sold for astronomical prices at auction, as much as hundreds of thousands of dollars per piece and even more for complete sets. AP News show coins that are historically significant, even if they're small, are in demand. Pushpin, Section 6. Should you check your 1987 pennies? Absolutely yes. Here's a quick checklist to know if your penny might be valuable. Is the coin in perfect uncirculated condition? Does it have very strong red color? Do you spot any error signs? Does it have a mint mark, or is it no mint mark? Does it look unusually shiny or different from other pennies? If you answer yes to any of these, consider having the coin graded by a professional, and that could unlock serious money. So next time you're digging through your change and you pull out a penny from 1987, don't just toss it. That tiny coin might hold a treasure inside. It could be worth more than you think. It might be a rare collectible piece, and in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest change can lead to big profits. If you want more deep dives, coin mysteries, and treasure hunts, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on a hidden gem again. Thanks for watching, and may your finds always be shiny and valuable. If you want, I can also provide title ideas, thumbnail text, and optimized tags for this video. Just let me know. Today we're diving deep into a coin you might actually already own in your pocket, the 1999 Lincoln penny. But this isn't any ordinary penny. This tiny 1-cent piece has a fascinating history, rare varieties, and believe it or not, some examples have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Moneybag collision, stay with me until the end because I'm breaking down the exact features that make a 1999 penny worth $442 and even more. Brain, the forgotten history of the 1999 Lincoln penny, 030 to 230. Most people see a penny and toss it aside. But the 1999 Lincoln penny is part of a legacy that began over a century ago. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Since then, it became the longest continuously produced coin design in U.S. history. By 1999, the penny featured Abraham Lincoln on the front, obverse, classical building, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, reverse, all struck in a copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982. Coin value checker that year, billions of these pennies were minted, so common that most are worth just 1-cent coin trackers, but around those billions hid some tiny treasures, the kind collectors dream about. Magnifying glass tilted right, 3 varieties of the 1999 penny, 2:30 to 5 o'clock. Even though 1999 was a modern year for pennies, there are 3 important versions you should know. Yellow Circle 1. Standard 1999 penny heavy checkmark face value. 1 cent heavy checkmark common in circulation heavy checkmark typical spacing in America. On the reverse, these are worth virtually nothing special unless graded extremely high by collectors. Coin Tracker's Orange Circle 2. 1999, wide AM, variety, the big one. Here's where it gets exciting. In some 1999 pennies, the letters A and M in America are spaced much farther apart. This is due to a rare die variation or minting anomaly. This is called the wide AM variety, and it's highly sought after. Coin Value Checker bar chart market values for this variety vary massively depending on condition. Some graded pieces have sold for hundreds or thousands. Certain graded wide AM pennies in top conditions have fetched over $3,000. Pennyverse. So while most pennies are worthless, this one can be insanely valuable if you find it in top quality. Blue Circle 3. Proof 1999's pennies. These were struck in San Francisco only as proof coins, meaning they were made especially for collectors, not everyday circulation. Userconbook.com. Proof coins generally aren't extremely valuable unless rare or graded high, but some proof pennies with special features, like a close AM on the S proof, can reach upwards of dozens or even hundreds of dollars. Coin Tracker's Exploding Head rare and extremely valuable coins from 1999, 5 to 730. Now here's where it gets insane. While most 1999 pennies are nearly worthless, some error and rare varieties have shocked the coin world. Gemstone example. The 1999 wide AM penny, graded in top condition, has sold for over $4,000 at auction. Pennyverse. Some online sources even claim rare 1999 wide AM pennies could be valued in the tens of thousands, or beyond under particular conditions and grading. WSNCN. Let's not forget other ultra-rare errors, like mismatched die coins, that collectors have paid 6-figure prices for, like one 1999 penny mule which sold decades ago for $138,000. The Sun. So yes, that boring penny in your drawer just might literally be worth more than you think. Chart increasing. Why some pennies are worth so much. 730 to 930. Lightbulb. Here's why some 1999 pennies jump in value. 1. Rarity of die variation. Only a tiny number of wide AM varieties were struck. Bar chart 2. Condition matters. Coins graded at MS65, MS67, or MS68 by grading services, like PCGS or NGC, are exponentially more valuable. Magnifying glass tilted left 3. Error coins attract collectors. Mule coins, proof die errors, and unusual anomalies drive the market value sky high. Hammer NH4. I appeal. A bright, red luster penny commands much higher open market demand than a dull, worn coin. The current market value, 9:30 to 11 o'clock. Let's keep this real. According to trustworthy coin valuation sources, heavy checkmark normal 1999 pennies equals 1 cent to $1.00 in pristine condition. Coin Tracker's heavy checkmark standard wide AM pennies equals hundreds to low thousands depending on condition. Coin Value Checker heavy checkmark high grade wide AM equals $3,000 plus and even $4,000 plus at auction. Pennyverse heavy checkmark super rare error, like a mule, equals historically up to 6 figures. The Sun. So if you've heard a coin is worth $442, that's totally realistic. Some wide AM examples graded above average condition regularly hit and exceed that level in today's market. Thinky Face. How to spot a worthwhile 1999 penny, 11 to 1300 hours. Here's what you should do if you want to see if your penny could be valuable. White heavy checkmark. Look at the reverse side. This is where the wide AM shows up. White heavy checkmark. Use a magnifying glass to study the letters A and M. White heavy checkmark. Compared to a normal example, the difference is subtle but real. White heavy checkmark. If it looks promising, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Even ordinary collectors have found pennies worth hundreds by just taking a closer look. Coin Value Checker Direct Hit. Final thoughts, 13 to 1400 hours. So what's the takeaway? Sparkles. The 1999 Lincoln penny is much more interesting than most people realize. Sparkles. Most are common and worth face value. Coin Tracker's Sparkles rare varieties, especially wide AM, are collectible and can be quite valuable. Pennyverse Sparkles. In the right condition, one could easily be worth $442, and in rare cases much more. So go check your coin jars, check your change, And maybe your next discovery could be worth a small fortune. Waving hand OUTRO, 14 to 1500 hours. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications for more rare coin content. Comment below, what's the coolest coin value you've ever found in your pocket change? Fire, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Waving hand money bag. If you want, I can also help you make a thumbnail, title plus description plus hashtags for this video. Just tell me. Today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood and surprisingly valuable coins in modern American numismatics. That's right, the 2060 Lincoln penny, a coin you might think is worth just 1 cent, but in rare cases, it can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Stay tuned, because what you're about to learn could change how you look at every penny you ever find. Section 1. What is the 2060 Lincoln penny? Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny has been America's everyday coin since 1909, honoring President Abraham Lincoln, the face of honesty and freedom on our smallest denomination. By 2006, billions of these pennies were produced, and at the Denver Mint alone, almost 4 billion Lincoln cents were struck. That's a lot of pennies. Coin Tracker specifically, the 2060 penny was made in Denver, identified by the tiny D just under the date. This coin normally circulated side by side with your pocket change, used to buy gum, soda, or added to a jar of spare coins. So yes, the vast majority of 2060 pennies are worth their face value, just 1 cent, or a tiny bit more if in really crisp condition. Coin Tracker's BUT. Here's where it gets exciting. Fire, Section 2. When just a penny turns into real money, most coins stay common because so many were made. But every so often, something unusual happens at the mint, and that's where coin collectors go wild. Chart increasing. According to numismatic guides and market data, a normal circulated 2060 penny is still basically worth 1 cent. An uncirculated version, fresh from the mint, nowhere, could be worth a couple dollars or more. And here's the kicker: rare, top graded or error specimens have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coin Value Checker +1. Some top auction records show gemstone a 2006 Lincoln cent graded MS68RD has reached into the $1,200 plus range at auction. Coin that means a coin you could pick up for free in your couch cushion can be worth thousands if it's been perfectly preserved and professionally graded. Trophy, Section 3. How does a penny get valuable? Rare varieties and errors. Now we're getting to the good part, how to spot the really valuable ones. Here are some of the rare variations and mint errors that can make a 2060 penny worth big money. Right arrow double die obverse, DDO. This happens when the coin is struck more than once on the die, creating visible doubling on the date or lettering on the front. These can easily sell for hundreds, even over $1,000 at auction. Coin Value Checker right arrow wrong planchet error. This rare error happens when a penny is struck on the wrong metal blank, maybe one meant for another coin. One such 2060 wrong planchet penny sold for nearly $920. Coin Value Checker right arrow off center strike. If the design is not centered on the coin, sometimes missing part of the date or Lincoln's profile, it becomes a collectible error. Some off-center errors from 2006 have sold for hundreds. Coin Value Checker right arrow retained strike-through errors, double strikes, die caps. These are all mint mistakes that can drastically increase value depending on severity and grade. Coin Value Checker light bulb tip. Most valuable pennies are evaluated and graded by professional services, and coins in top grades, like MS65 and above, are the ones that fetch big prices. Bar chart, Section 4. Market value today and why it fluctuates, you might ask. So what is this coin worth right now? The honest answer is, it depends greatly on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Standard 2060 pennies and pocket change are worth, backhand index pointing right 1 cent. But in uncirculated and top-graded examples, backhand index pointing right from tens to hundreds to over $1,000 plus depending on condition and mint variety. Coin Value Checker +1. Now here's the part that gets many people excited. Coins with special features or grading can sometimes be valued at hundreds of dollars, which is why some online sellers list pennies for crazy prices. But many of those prices are just hype, not real market value. New York Post. True coin collectors pay real money for real rarity, and professional auction results are the best guide to true value. Brain, Section 5. How to check your own penny. If you think you've got something special, here's what you should do. Magnifying glass tilted left. Step 1. Look at the date and mint mark. Make sure it's exactly 2060. Magnifying glass tilted left. Step 2. Examine the coin under a magnifier for doubling, off-center details, strange shapes, or unusual metal appearance. Magnifying glass tilted left. Step 3. Compare it to known error examples online. From auction records. Magnifying glass tilted left. Step 4. If you think it might be rare, send it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. Pro grading can turn a random penny into a certified collectible that sells for real money at auction. Studio microphone. Ending. Call to action and engagement. So now you know. The 2060 Lincoln penny isn't just a worthless coin. Most are common, but the ones with rare features, exceptional condition, or mint mistakes can be worth serious money. Speechalloon. Here's what I want you to do. Backhand index pointing down. Comment below if you have a 2060 penny in your change jar. And tell me if you think it's worth something. Thumb up like this video if you learned something new today. Bell subscribe for more coin treasure hunts. Who knows what hidden gems we'll uncover next? Party Popper. Thanks for watching. And remember, every penny tells a story. And some of them could be worth more than you ever imagined. Until the next treasure hunt, keep looking at your change. United States want a shorter, more punchy version too? I can make one.